Hello, everyone, and welcome to OurVentura TV. I'm Sandra Siepak. On today's show, we're welcoming Lars Davenport. He is the Environmental Services Specialist with the City of Ventura. And today we're going to talk about the EPS ban that's coming to the City of Ventura this summer. So Lars, give us a little bit more information about what is going to be happening and what people can expect once the EPS ban takes effect.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me.
Sure.
And just a little note. So styrofoam and expanded polystyrene, and then the shortened version EPS can all be used interchangeably. So while the ordinance uses expanded polystyrene, a lot of people know that as styrofoam. So just know that we're talking about the same thing there.
Okay.
And this ban affects polystyrene food products. So we're looking at plates, bowls, cups, clamshells, meat trays, coolers that are not fully encapsulated in another product, but we wouldn't be looking at things like packing peanuts. And this ban affects distribution by food providers. So that would be restaurants, grocery stores, liquor stores, food trucks, or other organizations that are serving food. And then an important note is that while the ban goes into effect July 1st, there is a 1-year exemption application for financial hardship or practical difficulty. So if it's going to cost a lot for a business to make the switch from styrofoam to an alternative product, or if there just isn't a good alternative product out there, we do have a 1-year exemption application. Okay,
so that'll be pretty helpful to a lot of businesses out there that may need it, especially now during the COVID-19 challenging times that we've had financially for many, many businesses.
Yeah. Okay.
So how will this really affect businesses, so to speak, especially restaurants? That's probably going to be the biggest change for takeout. And I know you mentioned about the containers and everything. Are you hearing from restaurants? Were they in favor of this or opposed to it? What was the consensus?
Yeah, we tried to do a lot of outreach about this, both through the city and then through some of our partners. I know this local Surfrider chapter did a pretty extensive survey of local restaurants. And what they found is that most restaurants have already made the switch away from styrofoam products. Nice. And that there was broad support for a ban like this. Now, there were people that were opposed for sure, but broadly, we did hear support from the business community. Yeah. And an important note is that we are not mandating what type of product a business switches to. This does not need to be a really expensive product. It could be a cheap single-use plastic alternative. So, we did some research and it didn't look like the cost increase was going to be that great for the business community.
So basically, you will not be able to purchase any of these products, such as ice chests and plates and cups and those type of items within the City of Ventura. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And their use, of course, may still be in effect because people will bring them in from other areas. Is that not something that will happen? Yeah,
that is true. And that is a concern of ours. People could buy styrofoam products in a neighboring city and then bring them to our beach for a picnic, and we could still end up with styrofoam litter. This ordinance was a balance between the most restrictive and maybe best environmental combined with enforceability and feasibility. And so we landed on distribution of styrofoam products within the city as our target. The good thing is we are joining over 130 communities within California that have implemented some sort of styrofoam ban. And some of our neighbors that have already done that are Ojai, Thousand Oaks, and Santa Barbara. And the communities that are implementing bans are just increasing every year. So more and more in the future, our visitors are going to be coming from cities that have similar bans in place. And so we will see less of that imported styrofoam.
Which is very good to hear for places like our coastline and even for recycling measures. I'm sure that will make a big difference. Is that not right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And so the main focus of this ordinance is that local litter pollution issue. We know that styrofoam is very light. It breaks down into small pieces, so it's easily transported by wind, by water. And as a result, we do have a big problem with styrofoam litter on our beaches and open spaces, other public areas. And the Surfrider Foundation holds monthly beach cleanups, and they have pretty thorough documentation of what kind of litter they're finding on our beaches. And styrofoam is one of the biggest problems. There's a lot of it, and it's really hard to clean up. And so that was the main focus of this ban. The recyclability and compostability issue is not quite as big of an issue with this ban, because currently most food and beverage containers, or single-use food and beverage containers, are not locally recyclable or compostable. Now that will change in the future. We are going to have local composting facilities coming, relatively soon,
Right.
that could take compostable foodware, but for now we don't have that. So really, it's more about a litter problem.
Okay, how did the council decide this was the best thing for the city of Ventura? What was the decision that led to the ban?
Yeah, it's mostly how do we address that local litter pollution issue
Okay.
and keep our city beautiful and attractive and nice to visit for visitors, and of course great to enjoy for our residents. How do we balance that with not putting too much burden on the business community? So city staff did research. We talked with other cities that had banned styrofoam, and we did some research into the cost difference between styrofoam and the cheapest alternatives. And we found that the cheapest non-styrofoam alternative product is maybe 1 to 4 cents more expensive per unit. And in some cases, the non-styrofoam alternative can even be cheaper. Mm-hmm. So it didn't appear that this was going to be a big financial burden on the business community. And so that reduction in litter was going to outweigh the impact to businesses.
Right. Now, as far as the restaurants go, and especially with products that styrofoam is used for takeout food, that kind of thing, will this be passed on to the consumer at the restaurants, or who's going to really feel that pinch of the price being a little bit different now?
Right. Yeah. So it'll be up to the individual business to decide how that cost gets incorporated. The good news is we don't anticipate there being large cost increases, but if there are, we do have that financial hardship exemption. And additionally, there are some other resources that businesses can take advantage of. So there's an organization called Plastic Free Restaurants that will subsidize the cost difference for a restaurant to switch from styrofoam or other single-use plastic products to compostable alternatives. So that's a great option. And we do have information about plastic-free restaurants on our city website. We also have a local program, the City of Ventura Certified Green Business Program. And so restaurants can get certified as a green business by following all of our guidelines. And once they're certified, they are eligible for a $500 rebate for any upgrades that they would need to do to comply with the checklist. And so switching from styrofoam to more environmentally friendly products would be an eligible cost for that rebate.
And it sounds like it's a win-win for everybody. Did you have any opposition from residents in the area? Was anybody really opposed to doing this? Did you hear anything about that?
Yeah, we have heard some opposition, but I would say the majority of the feedback we got was in support of a ban like this, especially once we explained what the true cost difference was as opposed to the perceived burden to businesses, and explain some of the resources that we'll be sharing with our business community to make this transition seamless and not too expensive.
Right. And I'm sure people will appreciate down the road the beautiful coastline that we will continue to have without a lot of trash and litter around there too. That will make a big difference.
Yeah, that's our goal.
Very good. So could you give us a little bit more information on where people could find more on this ban that's going to be taking place this summer, and if there is like more information that they could find out about and even respond to? Yeah,
so we do have a section of the city's website set up for this. So cityofventura.ca.gov/EPS ban. And that'll have links to everything I just talked about, the exemption application. It'll have a link to the actual ordinance language, so people can read through that and see exactly what's in there. And then I think I mentioned the email address that we have set up, epsban@cityofventura.ca.gov. Businesses can email us there, and city staff can help you through the process. So we can connect you with resources to find appropriate replacement products and where they can get rebates and things like that. And really our overall goal here is to have education and not enforcement be the primary focus of this. So we're not going to be searching for people to fine. We're going to be trying to help businesses make this change.
Well, Lars Davenport from the City of Ventura, thank you so much for sharing more on the upcoming EPS ban that's going to be taking place this summer. And for anyone that wants information, as Lars mentioned, you could go to the website for more detailed points on this.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank all of you for joining us today on OurVentura TV. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, everybody.